All right, we are live. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. What is going on here? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this live session. Who is in the house? If you're in the house, I salute you. And I want to begin this beautiful Thursday afternoon by saying that the growth of your child is not just raising children. It's not something you want to leave to chance because it must be treated as a life project. Why is this? Our children are so important that you do not want to treat their life as something that is done by chance. You want to be intentional about building their lives. So, no, parents, you can't leave the life of your child to chance, and your child is too important to be left to chance. My name is Maribel Chima, and yes, I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And I am also the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle, a mentorship and accountability group that we run for children between ages 5 and 10. Welcome to this live session. Okay, so just like every other project, I already said that if you're going to raise your child intentionally, then you must treat raising them as a project. And just like every project, you do not want to raise your child carelessly because every important project must be treated carefully. All right. So think of your child this way, that your child is a life project. As a parent, you don't just raise a child, you are managing a project called a life. And so, like many meaningful projects, you must do the following. You must have a vision, you must create structure, there must be guidance as to how you want to execute that project. And of course, you must bring your A game into executing that project. So, if your child is that important, then the child needs to be treated as an important project. Where's my mic? Why am I not using my mic? So, your child needs to be treated as an important project, and so you must bring your A game to that task of raising your child. Sorry, let me use my mic. I can hear some echoing sound in the background. So if you treat parenting casually, you will raise children who will drift. You will raise children who will treat their own lives casually. And guess what? They will also treat you and your life casually. On the other hand, if you raise children or if you parent your children as a project, you parent them and they can see how much you invest into parenting them. They can see how important their lives are as a project to you. They can see how you invest in becoming the right kind of parent through building your own competencies. And they can see how much you put into helping them, right, build their own capacity and competencies. Then your children would understand that their life is not a joke. They would understand that their life is a project that you take seriously. And so that way, they will take their own lives seriously also, and they will learn to take you as a serious person. And of course, children like this don't drift away because they know and they understand that their life is not for joke, that their life is not a joke. So, dear parents, are you ready to raise children? Or are you ready to begin to see your child as not just you merely raising another human being, but you having a project that is important and putting yourself in a place where you deliver that project with all of the expertise and everything that is needed to do a great job at it? Okay, so I like to divide our role as parents into two phases. Okay, this is me. I like to think of it as, two phases or something that we do in two phases. Now, the first phase is the first 18 years of your child's life. Now, that is the time where you are called to be their primary caregiver. You are, as my coach likes to say, you are their destiny custodian during this first phase of their lives. It's good that you look at yourself in that light as a parent. If you can look at yourself in that light as a parent, then you would take the first 18 years of your children's life, you would take it very seriously, because you know that you sit in the center of helping them become everything that God has created them to be. You would understand that during this period of their life, that you are the custodian of their destiny, meaning whether they align with the destiny that God has called or created them for, whether they align to the purpose that God has created them for, or they lose track completely, is going to be in your hand. You are a huge part of whether your children align with their destiny or whether they get drifted away and lose, completely lost, the way to the path that God has created you for and created them for. Very important. So you, in this phase, you are shaping their lives, you are guiding them, you are exposing them, and you are building them. Very important. We will come back to this. So you don't just want to see yourself as a parent who provides for your child. You don't just want to see yourself as a provider in the life of your children. You want to see yourself as a director. You want to see yourself as someone that is fully involved in directing your children's life. So, as I said, we'll come back to that phase. The second phase of their life is the phase where between 18 and above, or after 18, during this phase, you are a consultant and a life support to your child. Now, this is the phase where you step back a little, but you remain as a guide or as a support system in their lives. Very important that you understand that parenting is not just for the first 18 years. Oh, you're done your job in 18 years and then boom, you're done. Let the child go. Because we hear parents say things like that sometimes. I have done my best. I have given them the best education. I have done all of this, so I've done my part. No, that is the point where you become a custodian. And how you handle the first 18 years of their lives will determine how much of a support system or how much of a consultant or how much they even turn back to you or return to you when they hit you throughout the course of their life, not just when they hit rock bottom or when they are, going through challenges. When you have established yourself as a custodian and you have done the work, you have taken care of this project effectively in the first 18 years of their life, you realize that the children welcome you, they embrace you, and you are there as a life support all the days of their lives. So, as a parent, what is your goal? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a custodian, or do you see yourself as someone who should be a custodian of your child's destiny? Do you see yourself in that light? And as they grow older, for parents of older children, are you already seeing yourself as a consultant in the life of your child? Are you already seeing yourself as a life support in the life of your child? These things are very important. And the earlier we understand this role that we have in the life of our children, right? The more we position ourselves, right, to be what we were called to be in their lives. All right. So, in the first phase of our children's life, I said that we are custodians of their destiny. I also said that this is the phase where you are the child's primary caregiver. Now, in the first 5 years, between 0 and 5, you are shaping the child's life. That's when you are programming. That's when you are putting in place the things that you want to see in your child's life. See, parents, there is no things happening by chance. There is no things happening by chance in your children's life. Like, you can't have something that you want to see in their lives or where you want to take your children to, and you don't intentionally position yourself, right, to shape them into that thing. You leave it to chance and promise you something else is going to fill that vacuum. Something else is going to fill that vacuum. And most times we come and we cry as parents and we say, I don't know what it is that has, that made my child turn out to be this way. It is what you have positioned in their life, knowingly or unknowingly, by your ignorance or by your absence. So if you're going to shape the life of your child, the first 5 years is very critical. You want to position yourself, all right? You want to build your capacity. You want to come with a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom. As you do this, create the right environment, right? Build your competencies, right? And as you do this, you're able to shape the child into what it is that you want them to become. In the next phase of their life, between 6 and 10, that's where your place as a guardian become really pronounced. Because in this phase, your children are already navigating, or they're already, right, taking all that they have absorbed in the first 5 years of their lives. They're already manifesting these things in one way or the other, sometimes negatively, sometimes positively, depending on what it is that they have picked from their environment or how much you have invested in their lives. Now they begin to manifest what you have invested in their life, or what it is that their environment has served them. Now this is the place where, as a parent, if you are present, you are able to guide them away from what it is that is negative, or closer to what it is that is positive. So your role as a guardian in the life of your child becomes more pronounced, right, even in this phase. But you are a guardian for the rest of their life. But hey, it becomes really more pronounced during this phase of their life. Your role as a person who exposes your child to opportunities, who exposes your child to the right environment, is there right from the very beginning. But it becomes even more pronounced as they become preteens. Now, as a preteen, you want to expose your child to the right skills. You want to expose your child, right, to the right behavior. You want to expose them, right, to all of the things that you want to see in their life, all of the things that they need to begin to navigate life on their own. So what are you exposing your young child and your preteen to? You have a child that is 5. You have a child that is 8. You have a child that is 10 and 12. What are the things that you are exposing them to? Are you still in that place where you have every other person do things for the children except the children doing things for themselves? Now, when this is the case, you are not exposing the child to what their reality would be. You're not exposing your child to what life really requires, so that the child begins to learn how to navigate through life, or navigate life on their own. So the more exposure you give the child, the more exposure you allow the child, the more you allow them try, the more you allow them explore, the more you allow them figure things out in their environment, the more you are exposing them to being able to navigate on their own. So during their preteens, their young age and preteen, between ages 6 and 12, is the time you want to expose your children to a lot of skills. You want to expose them to trying things out on their own. You want to allow them try and fail. You want to allow them fail during this phase, okay, and teach them how to rise up from a failure, or how to rise up from a fall. Very important. What are you exposing your child to? And do you understand your role as someone who is meant to expose your child to the reality of the world? Very important, as in the first 18 years of their lives. Now, the building phase, right? You are building always from the very beginning, but it becomes more pronounced in their teens, right? Right from when they are 12, 13, up to 18, thereabouts. In their teens, very important that you are building with your children. Very important that you are helping them understand that they can build, helping them see. Who is here? Okay. How are you? Amara Morin. How are you doing, man? All right. So how are you exposing your children to the fact that they were called to build? How are you allowing your children build? Or are they still in that phase where you are building everything for them to just step into? If your children have reached their preteens and their teenage age, and you are not allowing them build, you are not exposing them to building, or you have not built a foundation that is allowing them attempt to build on their own, then something was wrong with that foundation from the very beginning. So the first 18 years of your child's life is the phase where you are a custodian of their destiny. It is the phase where you are their primary caregiver and their primary guardian and support system. So this is the phase where you shape them. This is the phase where you guide them. This is the phase where you expose them to what is possible. And this is the phase where you guide them and teach them how to build and allow them begin to build. Very important. And this is the phase that is important to us. So this is the phase that we are more concerned about, right here. Because After 18, as I said, that's the next phase. But hey, let's build foundation. That's what we're about. We're about building a solid foundation so that by the time they become 18 and above, right, all that we have done in the first phase of their life, all that we have invested in this first 18 years of their life would help them manifest and navigate, right, much easily. And that's the point where they can turn and come back to us because they now trust us. Now, because they now believe in us, because we have built a bond over the years, and of course, we can now become people that they listen to because they trust us. We become people that they listen to because we have influence over them, not forced influence, but influence that has been built over the years in that season where you were shaping, in the season where you were guiding, in the season where you were exposing them and where you were building together. Very important. Very, very important. Now let's look at what I call the core framework, right, for you as a parent in the first 18 years of your children. What do you do to position yourself as a parent who can guide your child through these first 18 years or through this first phase of their life? Number one, you want to identify God's plan for your child's life. You want to identify God's plan for your child's life. Because there's no need to start going deep into the creator knows what it is that he has created that thing for. So for everything that has been created, there is a purpose. For everything that has been created, there is a function, isn't it? So it's not possible that God has created your child and there isn't a purpose for that child. It's not possible that God has created your child and there isn't something that God specifically created that child for. It is your role as a parent, first of all, to go to their maker. God has chosen you as a co-creator in the life of that child. God has chosen you as the custodian of the child's destiny, handed that child to you. So you will be the first one to go back for each of your children. It's going to be different for each of your children. Sorry, I thought we had a network glitch there. All right, it's going to be different for each of your children. So you want to go and ask God. So at every point, that's what it means to be intentional. Today, I was putting a post together and I was saying in that post that, a lot of times we think that, in terms, saying you're an intentional parent is a title. No, it's not a title. It is in what it is that is expected of you, right? That's what makes you an intentional parent. It is the role that you take on that makes you an intentional parent. I remember some years back, I was sitting down with a group of friends, at the beginning of my journey. And I remember one of them saying, that this intentional parenting that the Mary are doing is like a cult, right? It's like a cult. It will make it seem as if those of you who are not like them, you are bad parents. It took time for me to understand what I should have said to her at the time, right? Because the truth is, it's not about perfection. It's not about trying to think that you're a better parent than any other parent. It is a role that you take on, and it is in what you do. So being an intentional parent is you positioning yourself, right, at every time and at every point to see what is my role in the life of the child right now. What is it that is missing? What are the gaps in the life of this child? What can I do? As an intentional parent, there's no perfection. Your child is not perfect. You are not perfect. It is you working with that child, building every day. It is you guiding every day. It is you shaping every day. You are at work. That's what makes you an intentional parent. It is the work that you are doing. It is the role that you have taken to stay right in the life of this child and guide the child and build together. And that's what makes you an intentional parent. It is not when you belong to a group and then your child is supposed to be seen as perfect. So that's why, if you don't understand that role, you will be there expecting perfection from your child. But that's not what intentional parenting is about. Intentional parent is you taking on that role and understanding what it means to take that role. Sorry, let me just do this. And then it's sacrifice. You showing up every day to, sorry about this. All right. So you It's reaching again. All right, sorry about that. Let's see. The screen is also badly lit. It's our role as parents to go back to God and find out what is it about it, what's a blueprint for this particular child. Now, because when you can see as a parent, okay, when you can see as a parent, then you're able to guide the child. I wrote in my book Bedtime Stories for Champions that a child needs at least one visionary parent in their life to help them become everything that God has created them to be. Meaning that person is intentional about who this child is and how I can support this child to become the best version of themselves. So you're learning how the child learns, you're learning, everything you need to know about the child so that you're able to support that child effectively. You're able to support that child to become who God has created them to be. Paying attention to what the child is drawn to, not just what the child is distracted by, right? So a lot of times, I said in one of my books also that many times parents, if you don't know how to quieten the noise around you, okay, if you don't know how to quieten the noise around you, then even you as a parent will be confused about what it is that your child is driven by or what drives your child. So as a parent, you want to pay attention so that you are not carried away by what your child is distracted, your child's distractions, but you are seeing what it truly is that your child is called to, what it is that drives your child, and what it is that your child, is good at. Sometimes the children will not know. Sometimes the children themselves will not understand these things. But when you are paying attention, you are present, and you understand your role as the custodian of their destiny, then you know that part of that role is to point them, to direct them, and to lead them to become what it is that God has created them or called them to be. So you want to pay attention to the things in their lives, right, that they are drawn to, and not just the distractions in their lives. Because your child can be drawn to, your child can be distracted by so much, and you know how entertainment can be sometimes, or the things that just feeds their attention at the time, maybe because of what their friends are drawn to at the time, or what it is that pop culture says is what is okay, or what it is that society points them to at the time, or what their environment points them to at the time. So that becomes a distraction. And as a parent, if you're not paying attention, you would think that your child is drawn to that thing. You would think that that thing is something that God wants for your child. But if you check closely, when you look at it closely and you look at it from all angles, you realize that that thing is simply just a distraction in the life of your child. So, very important, right? That you are there and you are being that support that can help your child, or direct your child to what they are drawn to for real. All right. Number 3 is help them understand the reason behind everything. Important, very important that children understand the reason behind the things around them. When they understand why, they engage differently. When your child understands why they have to do something, why something has to be like this, why you don't want them to be like that, don't pass down values and pass down values and convictions to your children that they don't understand. Ensure that for every value that you are promoting, for every conviction that you are passing down, ensure that the child understands. Ensure that you're constantly sharing with them, talking about these things and giving them the reason behind it, the belief system, the conviction, or the values that you uphold as a family. When that is the case, your children will internalize it and they will own it, as opposed to you forcing it down their throat. When you force it down their throat, or when they just abide by it, not necessarily because they understand it, but because they don't have any other choice, or because this is the rule, this is what family says, and this is what my father says, and it's final. When that's the case, then they walk away from it the moment they get a sense of independence. They walk away from it the moment you are not there to monitor them anymore, or the moment they feel that they are old enough to stand up to you. So it's important that whatever you're passing down to your children, whatever you want to see them engage in, whatever it is that are your convictions, your beliefs, your values, ensure that they understand it and they understand why these things are important to you as a family and why you uphold it as a family. Very, very important. This one, very, very important. All right. Then the next one is point them consistently to the direction of the things that are important. So, direction of the things that they are driven by. So, if you find out that your child has got leadership qualities, now you want to put in their space, in their lives, in everything that you do, you want to point them to leadership. You want to point them to the leaders that they are. You want to point them to the strength that they have in that area, or to the strength that they have that makes them a good leader. You want to promote that thing in their life. Very important. Same thing with the values and the convictions that you want to pass down to your children. Make sure that the values are right there. Let them see the values in everything that they do. Let them see your convictions in everything that you do. Let them see you live it. Let them see you model it. Let them see you talk it. Let them see you internalize it. Let them see you imbibe it. Let it be the standard for the things that you do as a family. When this is the case, it becomes the norm, right, for your children, and your children are able to internalize it because now they understand the why, and beyond the why, they have seen this, and this has become the part of their life consistently. The power of repetition. Repetition builds clarity. So you want to put these things, do them consistently, repeat them so that you are able to build clarity for your children. Very important. Very important. Number 5, you want to create the right environment. We cannot overemphasize this, right? Because environment trumps the values. So you would pass down all of these values and convictions to your children, and then you leave them in environments that stands against or opposes these values and convictions in such powerful ways that your children will cower or your children will cave in one day. So don't surround your children or put your children in an environment that is contrary to everything that you stand for, that is contrary to everything that you believe. And that environment includes their friends, includes the schools they go to, include your neighborhood, and of course include the things that you give them access to, or you allow access to your children, whether it's a teacher or it's other people in their lives, right, that can influence them. So it is important as a parent who is a custodian and understands the role or their role in the life of their children, who understands and sees their children not just as people that they are raising, but a project that you're executing, a life project. It's important that you take environment seriously. Very important. You see how much I emphasize environment. So key. Number 6, turn learning into a project, dear parents. You want to turn every learning, every point of learning in your child's life, you want to turn it into a project. In their first 5 years, you want to create learning as an experience so that your children will see you not just teach, not just train, but they will see you turn that learning into an activity. Turn every learning, right, into an activity, especially for your younger children. So you want to turn it into an activity so that your children can experience it. As your children experience it, this becomes what they associate that learning to, the experience that that learning gave them. As they grow older, you want to turn every learning into a project. For everything that they have learned, you want to put actions to it, and you want them to stretch themselves, right, to live that learning through a project. So for every time your child is learning, move their learning to just instruct from just instruction instructions to projects. So I run the children mastermind circle. And in the mastermind circle, every week we have a project, right? We have a project that we are focused on every week. Now, this is because this principle, right? The principle of project is very important to us, right? Or the concept of it is very important to us. Having children not just get instructions, do a thing and walk away, but we want them to stay in there. You remember I talked about repetition being what gives them clarity. We talked about we talked about them doing things, right, repetitively so that it becomes a part of them. This is how they internalize. This is how they get clarity. This is how they understand. And this is how they internalize this thing, because now they are able to believe it. They've lived it. They've put their hands on it and they have done it. So it becomes something that builds their confidence, and they can say, oh, yes, I can do this. Or, oh, yes, I have gone through it. Oh, yes, I have experienced this. Oh, yes, I have seen this come to life. Oh, yes, I have seen this work. So make every learning an experience. Make every learning a project for your child. Very important. Okay, because children will not just align, dear parents. Our children will not just align, they will align because they can see. Okay, they will align because they can see. Because you can't make them align because you are putting pressure on them. Okay, you can't make them align because you are forcing them to align. To help your children truly align, right? It must be because they can see, they can experience, and they can understand. Alignment is possible when children can see, when they can experience it, and when they understand it. Okay, so let's look at 3 practical ways that you can make your children align with their parents. Number 1, consistency in your expectations. What are you expecting from your child? You need to be consistent about that expectation. It's not today you're expecting this, tomorrow you're expecting something different. Today they're acting like this and it's fine. The next day they're acting a different way, and it's okay, just let it be. No, you need to consistently, pass your expectations, right, to your children in a way that they understand. When your standards don't change, the children they will behave, or they will adjust their behavior. But when your standards are not consistent, then your children are confused. So they will come with all kinds of behavior also, because the standard is not clear. Number 2, modeling intentional living. You must model intentional living to your children. I said before that intentional parenting, or saying you're an intentional parent, is not a title. It's not a cult that we belong to and you just carry the name, oh, you're an intentional parent. It is in what you are doing. I told a story this morning. I wrote a post this morning, or was it yesterday, about how I had a staff who didn't show up on a very critical day, for us. And the staff was supposed to anchor our opening, and all of that. And then we had a challenge that we were running at that period. And the staff was, a huge part of that challenge. And all of a sudden, just one particular day, the child, boom, just disappeared and all of that, And, of course, I got some other person to anchor the program. That was the easiest one. But how about the challenge that we were doing? Who was going to do the rest part of, the part of it? It was a bit technical and all that. And our son stepped in. Our son stepped in with a skill that we exposed him to. He stepped in with a skill that we exposed him to when he was only about 10. And so he has built on that skill over the years. And so when I had a challenge, or when there was an opportunity for him to step in and save the day, he was able to step in and save the day because he had that experience, right? He had that experience that he could use. He could bring it into, everyday life. He could bring it into, the situation. And that's very important. So when our children see us plan, when they see us execute, when they see us follow through, when they see us solve problems, when they see us proffer solutions in the midst of, problems, they see us, we don't lose our minds, we don't become chaotic, but we think and we proffer solutions, then they learn to also proffer solutions. They learn to always also prefer solutions. They learn when to step in and say, let me try. They learn when to step in and say, you know something, I have learned about this once upon a time. Who knows? I may be able to help here. Very important. What are you exposing them to? How are you shaping them? Remember, I said you are a custodian of destiny. How you are shaping your child, what you are exposing them to is very important. How you are guiding them. All of these are very important in your role as a custodian, and of course, in your role as in the first phase of their life. Very important. Now, number 4, giving them ownership early. When something is theirs, alignment becomes natural. When something is theirs, alignment becomes natural. So we've been talking about the 14 days purpose challenge, right? So we run challenges in the academy, and we run challenges because of the age or the group of children that we work with. We understand that in the first 10 years of a child's life, instructions alone do not cut it, right? So when we give instructions, meaning they have to listen to us every time, and then we give them lessons, we give them instructions, and all of that. It's good. It's not bad. But if you are going to get children who will start taking initiative, if you're going to get children who will execute, if you're going to get children, we're going to raise children who will begin to do the things that they need to do and understand it and internalize it as early as possible, then we need to expose them to project-based learning. We need to expose them, as I said, in the first 5 years, you want to create experiences that the children will find themselves right inside what it is that you are doing. That way they experience it. As they grow older, you want them to take charge, to initiate that experience. You want them to take charge and start something, stay on it and finish it. There is nothing that builds a child's confidence like having them start and finish something that they can look at and say, I did it. That's the biggest way. It's the biggest way to help a child, right? Build self-assurance, self-confidence. It's the biggest way to do that. So the next project, our next challenge, right, for April, our April challenge that begins at the end of April, it actually begins on the 30th of April, is our Purpose Builders Challenge. In our Purpose Builders Challenge, we are going to be guiding children, right, between 6 and 12. We will be guiding these children to think up. Yes, we want children who think. I say this again, I've been saying this a lot. When we give children homework, when we instruct children and then we ask them, to fill out, do a workbook and fill it out, or ask them questions, what we're doing is we are teaching them how to, we're teaching them how to complete a task, right, that they've been given. We're teaching them how to complete a task that they've been given, and it's a good thing. It's a very beautiful thing. We're teaching them how to follow instructions, because running with instruction is a skill that every child must have. We want to train their ears for instruction. But more than just training their ears for instruction and teaching them how to finish, we want them to think. We want them to think. We want them to take initiative. We want them to understand process. We want them to believe in the process. We want them to understand the outcomes are the reward of a process. So if you're going to raise children, especially in the world that we are in right now, where everything is about shortcut, jump it, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If you're going to raise children who understand and appreciate the process, then this is how we want to start building their foundation, by getting them to do project-based activities. So that's why we came about the Purpose Builders Challenge. because my job is to make sure that I am giving you and the children, especially, the solutions that they need to navigate life. We want to equip our young children so much that by the time they get into their mid teens, we can rest. By the time they get into their mid-teens, we can hit our chest and say, to a huge extent, this child can navigate. We have raised a resourceful child. You have raised a productive child. Is that to say the child is going to be perfect? No. But at that point, we know that we're looking closely and we're seeing where the gaps are and we're filling those gaps. But as far as being resourceful, productive, you have raised someone who is already sitting pretty there. And I say this because I've done this again and again. No fluke. I have raised children who have become highly resourceful and productive. Not perfect, highly resourceful and productive. Children that can take initiative, children that can stand in the gap, children that can cover your head, children that can come through and be solution providers, that can help, proffer solutions when there is a need. That's what we want to do. And this doesn't happen automatically, and it doesn't just happen with instructions. It happens when children are allowed to initiate projects, stretch themselves, stay in there, achieve it, and get the full, the full, the full reward that comes with knowing that I did it. There's something about, there are times you go to school, right? It happens sometimes even in the children's school. You go to school and the schools give those projects. I don't know about your children's school. My children's school give those projects every now and then. I think every term, I think so, or something like that. For instance, my son is doing a project right now that he's going to turn in when he gets back to school at the beginning of the school term, of third term. Now, when you see during those project presentation in school, sometimes you see, especially the young ones have been asked to create a model of something and all of that, then you will see excellently created models. When you go to school during the presentation, you see excellently done projects and all of that. You would, just one glance at that project and you will know that the child didn't do this. You will know that a carpenter probably did, or a father that is very DIY compliant, has done it, So most times when I see them, I'm like, oh, pretty. But, at the back of my head, I say to myself, I just say, oh my goodness, see how this adult has taken this opportunity from the child, the opportunity to create, the opportunity to be creative, the opportunity to brainstorm, solve problems, fail, rise. The whole idea of the project is defeated when we come in and we own it. We don't allow the children own it. There's never been any project that my children have done that I have owned or have taken over. The highest you can get is we brainstorm together. What do you think? What do you want to achieve? And all of that. I'm like, okay, can you look at it this way? How about that way? And all of that. Then after that, I step away and allow them own their project. Because the real confidence, the real thing that the child can hit their chest and say, I did it, is only when they do it. If you like, do it for them. They can shout, it's my project, it's project 10 times. But you see that thing inside that builds confidence, the child is not able to build it because the child knows in their heart of heart that they didn't do it. So confidence is not what you dash your child. Confidence is not what you give to your child. Confidence is what the child builds by virtue of what it is that they have conquered, by virtue of their competences. Confidence is built by competence. So you don't gift it, you don't talk it into them. Affirmations do not give your children confidence. It's what has been built, it's what they've been able to build as a result of their competency that makes them confident in that ability. Very important. Very important. Okay, so now let's go straight. So very important that we see things, or we begin to see things this way, so that we can help our children. So that's what the challenge is about. So we will get the children to think up a project, okay, and this project can be anything that they think of. It can be anything at all that they think of. I remember that year that our daughter, I found out that our daughter loved animals. I've shared this before. I found out that our daughter really loves animals. She loves to, study about animals. She just loves to do research around animals. In fact, as a matter of fact, this year when I got my review from YouTube, because the YouTube at home is connected to the TV, and all of that. When I got my review on YouTube for what it is that I have done the most for 2025, it showed that I can't remember the percentage, but the highest time I was on YouTube screen was spent researching animals and watching videos of animals. That wasn't me, that was my daughter. So meaning most of the times that she ever got to use YouTube during her screen time, that time was used to research animals. In fact, she actually researched animals more times than I did parenting. And this is me that belongs to the inner circle, and I am always there watching one inner circle video. In fact, I've never missed a session in the inner circle that I did not watch or at least catch the replay, almost immediately. Yet she researched more about animals than I did. So you see, when I realized that she was like that with animals, so that year we're talking about projects. We're talking about what projects she would like to do, right? Especially for our first decade project. And that's also the idea. We want your children to do a project. So we want them to do a project in the first decade of their lives, the first 10 years, the first 11, 12 years of their life. What's that project that you started, you stayed on? And this is it, the difference between that project and the things you get them to do that you're always reminding them and, getting angry with them for not doing is, for this project, the child is allowed, the child will be encouraged. We're there to support them. We're there to offer the accountability that will let the child initiate this project, will help the child create the plans to achieve this project, will be with them to do that. And then they will execute this project, right? Initiate, execute, complete, and then present this project on their own. So at the end of this project, your child will be able to launch something. And when I say launch something, it doesn't necessarily mean that your child will be out there if you're not ready for your child to be out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that your child will sell something if you're not ready for your child, or that the child is not interested in that, or that you're not ready. The child will launch something anyway. But that is something that is just for them, for your family. It will be something that can impact others. That's the caveat to it. So while they are doing this project, it has to be something that they can use to impact, because we also want them to understand the place of purpose and impact in the purpose. Impact, of course, in the project and in the things that they engage themselves in. Okay, so when you think of something, you initiate it and go through the process of building it, or creating it, learning it, solving it. You execute it, you present it, and it should be something that can impact the next person. So for our daughter, she started thinking, she said, okay, that she's going to create an animal scrapbook. So she's going to create an animal scrapbook because she wants more people to learn about animals and know more about animals, because she realized a lot of people do not know about animals. I remember when there was that case of someone who was bitten by a snake, and when our daughter heard it, she just went straight into action. Oh no, she shouldn't have run. She shouldn't have this. She shouldn't have done this, with explanation. When you do this, she had explanation like she could have given anyone a full lecture, because that's what she did to us. We're coming back from church that day, we're talking about it. She gave us a full-blown lecture on what should have been done and how that would have been nothing if only, if only she knew what to do. Do you understand? So these are the things. And then she's going to create an animal scrapbook. Now, how will she do this in this project? For those 14 days, it means that she's going to, of course, decide, all right? She's decided she's going to do this for the project. So now she's going to create a plan. How do I want the scrapbook? What shape? What form? Do I want to make it electronic? Is it going to be a physical copy? And all of that. Now she's going to go through, and then she's going to think, what kind of animals? What animals do I want to focus on? Am I going to put it in categories? Aquatic animals, terrestrial animals? She's going to have to think of all of those things. So that's why I said the children will think. She's 10. She's going to think up all of this. She's going to come up with what it is that she wants, and then we're going to go to work. She's going to go to work creating this. At the end of the project, she's going to have a full scrapbook, physical file. I mean, however she decides, whether it's electronic or physical, but she would have that thing executed. She will present it, and it will be something she will now decide. Do I want to put it on Amazon? Do I want to create it into a copy that I can share, 2 or 3 copies I can share to my friends for them to read? What do I want to do about it? So you see what I'm talking about. Or do I want to share it as a free resource? Because I said to the children, if it's something that you want to share with us as a free resource for us to share to our community, then we go there. Because the whole idea is that at the end of the project, you are able to impact. Or is it something that you want to sell? By all means. Do you understand? So this is it. So if you have a child between 6 and 12, please don't, 6 and 12, 13, get them into this project. I'm not joking. Get them into this challenge. It will blow, it will blow their mind. It will blow your mind watching them push themselves to achieve something. Sometimes we come here, we talk, and we just trivialize it, right? We trivialize it because somehow we only think our children are learning when we are talking and we are shouting, and we're talking and we're talking and we're talking, and then what we're saying is making sense to you. You don't realize that a lot of times it's you that it makes sense to. It doesn't make the same sense to the child because the child is not you. So you may be listening to me as a coach, and I'm going on, do this, I'm going on, and you're like, wow, nice, they're learning a lot. But I promise you, what you are learning, what you are hearing, may not be what your child is hearing. And because I work with children between 5 and 10, I know that what they are executing is more effective than what it is that they are hearing. What they are executing, what they are creating, what they are building, what they are owning, what they can see is more effective than what it is that they are listening to. So I always say to the parents in the mastermind, I got you. If you have children between ages 5 and 10, forget, I got you. I am your person for children between age and 10, no cap. I'm your person. I got you. All right. Because we're not just about raising the children or training the children, or helping the children get things right. We are about how is it effective? How did this group of children get it? So we invest in how, and we are all about how to cater to this group of children. We are tailored to this group of children in the mastermind circle. So yes, we're already enrolling, for the next cohort of the Mastermind Circle, by the way, all right, because we start the circle in September. So this is the time for parents who want to get their children on board, start getting ready, okay? It's the time to book a slot and get them into the circle, okay? But before that, you want to make sure that your children are a part of this challenge. All right. So right on your screen right now, okay, you would see the information that you need on YouTube for your child to enroll, or to enroll your child for the Purpose Builders Challenge. Okay, or you can check in the comment section, Facebook or YouTube, wherever you are watching this from. Check in the comment section and you would see the details that you need to get your child to be a part of the Purpose Builders Challenge. The challenge begins on the 30th of April. Okay, and you can still take advantage of the early bird price of $999. Okay, so it's $9,999, and we are here with your child for 14 days, intense, solid 14 days. Okay, and of course, if you're a mastermind parent, you already know that you have about 40% discount on this. So you don't even have an excuse, just rush, and grab your seat in that challenge already. All right, so now let's look at what our children, okay, I'm going to use the last 3 minutes to look at 5 reasons why our children, of course, you already know, I'm sure you already gathered the reasons why this is important to your child, or why it's important that your child, is engaged in project-based learning right now. But let's share a few, reasons, a few more reasons why it's important. Number one, it builds initiative. Okay, it builds initiative. Children learn how to start without waiting to be told. When they get into this, first of all, it's the excitement of creating something by yourself. It's the excitement of, directing yourself. It's the excitement of leading yourself. It's excitement of the end product. Okay, so that's it. The biggest motivation that anyone can get, right, is to see the outcome of what it is that they are about to create or what it is that they are doing. Okay, and that's it. At the beginning, we help them visualize, we guide them to visualize, right, what it is that they are aiming for. And that becomes the motivation that drives the child. So yeah, your child will shock you. That's what I can say to you. Get them into this challenge. Even they will shock you. Your 6-year-old will shock you. The dedication to this project will shock you. I am not even joking. Right? We've done this before, and I promise you, the dedication to this project will shock you. So get your child, your 6-year-old on board. And then your 10, 13, 12 years old, come on now. They will blow your mind with the level of dedication to this project. I know, I'm not even joking. Okay. So they learn, not to wait for people to tell them, right? You will see them invest the time because we will let them decide how much time they're going to put into the project every day. All right. So you will see that time come and the child is jumping up to get to it. That's the child taking initiative. That's the child practicing taking initiative. You see, so that's a child practicing taking initiative. I told you, repetition would actually lead to clarity. The child begin to understand why you need to get up and do what you have to do, right? Because the child knows where the child is going to. All right. Number two, it will help them develop problem solving skills. Now, it's not just about, doing something to get in the scores, doing something to say I finished, they will sit down there and they will think through every problem that they encounter in the process of creating, that project, right? So what it does, it naturally pushes or forces them to think. It naturally pushes and forces them, to brainstorm. So it will help to build critical thinking. It will help to, build problem solving skills in the children. Number three, it teaches them persistence, right? They are able to stay in there. They're able to stay in there because they have a timeline, number one. And number two, they have a goal that they are trying to achieve. All right. So they stay in there and they persist even when it is hard, even when it is difficult. That's it. We're building grit in the child, building grit, we're building persistence, we're teaching them how to stay in power. All right. They experience the middle and not just the beginning. All right. Not just the excitement of the beginning or the excitement of starting. They're able to stay there and, experience the middle. And most importantly, they're able to stay in there and own the end of the project. Very important. Each of this phase, very important in building your child's confidence. Okay, number four, it builds confidence, of course, through completion. I just talked about that. So the more they stay in there, they finish up, completion. There is nothing that says I can like I did it. There is nothing that says I can like I did it. So if your children are going to say I can and truly mean and feel that I can, then they must have gone through the process of doing. All right. So this is an opportunity that the challenge is going to give them. All right. So finishing something changes how a child sees themselves. He begins to see himself as a true superpower. He begins to see himself as a true superhero. He stops thinking of a superhero as just the guy with cape. He begins to see himself as someone who is also a superhero. And then lastly, he reviews purpose early to your children. Parents, I told you, the caveat to the project is that it must be something that other people can benefit from. So they're doing it knowing that some other person is going to benefit from this. That alone has sown the seed, all right, of purpose. We want to sow the seed of purpose early. We want to sow the seed of impact early in our children. We have children today. We have teenagers and young adults who do not even understand the concept of impact. They do not understand the concept of, being a blessing to humanity. It's all about me, 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 me. It's all about, what works for you. Do what works for you. Do your truth, your this, your that. It's all about the shortest cuts to becoming, Arya Star. Is that her name? It's the shortest cut to becoming the next Ira star, or becoming the next Davido, or becoming the next you name all of them. So that's what the average child is thinking. The next fella, everybody wants to become the next fella without a process. So anything that doesn't have a process, anything that you just jump and you're at it, that's what is appealing to our children. So if we're going to sow seeds, or we're going to raise children who look beyond just quick things, then this is the time to start sowing the seeds. So the mindset is such that there is a process to everything, and no better way to do that than this. Okay, so number 5, I said you reveals purpose early to your children. Through doing, children begin to discover what they enjoy, right, and what they get a sense of fulfillment from. All right, and they begin to understand and appreciate, right, the impact of the things that they do in the life of other people. All right. So this is where we are going to end for today, dear parents. We've exhausted our 1 hour. All right. And I know that you have a child out there that you know was created for much more than they are today. How do you help them see this? And how do you, as a parent, take that role of custodian and guardian in the life of your child? It's by showing them what is possible. It's by helping them, discover what it is that God has put inside of them. All right. And this challenge is a great way to start that process, is a great way to get that child into that space, even if you started that process. All right. So if you'd like to be a part of the challenge, right there on your screen, or check in the comment section and you'll see the link and the details and all the information that you need. Thank you for joining me on this live session this afternoon. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section. Okay, any comments, write in the comment section. And of course, if you're catching the replay, let us know where you are catching the replay from, and let us know if you got or what value you got from this session, because you must get value from this session. Thank you again. Have a fantastic day. Oh, by the way, I have a book, right? I have a parenting book that's talks about how you can support your child. I wrote this book, it's a small book. I wrote it when my son wrote his book, Baby Steps to Purpose. He wrote this book for children. It's a memoir of his life. He wrote his first decade, right? What he did in the first decade of his life, how he was supported and all of that. And I thought, it would make more sense, right, when the parents sees how we walked this journey to help him become, all that he was writing in this book. Two amazing reads. A parent read this recently. This is my only parenting book. I don't write parenting books. This is the only one that I have written. Okay. And apart from a journal that I have for parents, I don't have them anymore. We don't print them anymore. But this one, a parent wrote recently and read recently. She got it as part of our Christmas bonus, my birthday bonus. And then she read it and wrote me a long, review of how amazing and beautiful. This book is so beautiful. We don't talk too much about it, but it's such a small, beautiful book. Especially if you're a parent of a young child or a toddler, you want to get this book. It's called The Mentor Parents. 3 5 only. All right, of course. So every one of our book is an experience. I've talked about your children having experiences. So every single one of our books is an experience. So this one, Unlocking Excellence, is an experience. All right, Student's Guide to Success Beyond the Classroom. Every single book I have written is a whole experience for your child. You want to get them to read our books, and you can get our books on Amazon. You can get them on our seller page. You can get hard copies. We have distributors all around Nigeria and in countries like the UK, US, Ghana, and all that. So just reach out to us. Okay, you can get hard copies from our distributors all around Nigeria, and of course in Abuja, you can pick it from our office, the PTM Center, or from our distributors in Abuja. Thank you for joining me. Have a fantastic rest of the day. God bless you. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. This session, was it even? All right, then. Bye.